Hello students, how are you all? I hope you are fit and fine and studying also. As you all know, we are studying about grammar concepts and we have completed prepositions, conjunction, and today we are going to start direct and reported indirect speech. And you can say this is direct and indirect narrations. So, first of all, I would like to say that when we report what a person has said, we do into two ways. First is direct and second is indirect way. We are just reporting that what the other person is telling. So that is the way to convey the message, or you can say the narration by any one person in the direct to indirect method. That is, we are going to learn today. So let's see, and this is very important topic, and these are the topics which if you are studying well, so it will help you in your higher classes also. So pay your attention at this important topic and learn these rules also. Today we are going to study that introduction of this topic, direct speech and indirect speech. What is direct speech and what is indirect speech? And then statement and affirmative sentences, interrogative sentences, imperative sentences, and exclamatory sentences. How we are going to convert. So let's start the introduction about this topic. So, introduction of this topic, there are two ways of reporting what somebody says. That is direct speech and indirect or reported speech. So we can say a speaker word can be reported into two ways. First is direct speech. The exact word of the speaker. The teacher said, whatever the exact word of the speaker, whatever he is telling or she is telling, that we are going to report in the same way. So if I'm going to give you one example about that, the direct speech. The teacher said to Rajesh, you have a bright future. Now here you can see the teacher said to the Rajesh. It means the dialogue is given by the teacher to Rajesh is in the inverted commas, because these are the statement the teacher has given to the Rajesh. That is why it is written directly, or whatever the teacher has said to Rajesh, that we have written over here. So you have a bright future. It is written in the inverted commas because it is totally and exactly what the teacher has said. There is no if and but over there. So this is called direct speech. When we give the exact word that the person has used, it is called direct speech. The spoken word are written within inverted commas. So that is called direct speech. Now what is indirect speech? What the speaker has said without using the exact word. That is called indirect speech. It means whatever the two person are telling and it was reported by the third person, and that is called indirect speech. The teachers told Rajesh that he had a bright future. Now here you can see we don't have any inverted commas because what the speaker has said without using the exact word we are reporting. When we convey the thought of the speaker without the actual words but with its full meaning intact, it is called indirect or reported speech or narration. We do not use inverted commas over here. So that is called indirect speech. So here you can see the speaker's word can be reported into two ways, that is direct speech, in which the exact word of the speaker will be used, and here we are going to use inverted commas because we are writing the exact dialogue was given or is given by the speaker. Now here in indirect narration, we used to write what the speaker has said without using the exact word. Now, I have given one example also. The teacher told Rajesh that he had a bright future. Now, here you can see that the exact word are there, but in the conveyed by the third person. So that is called indirect narration. Now we may often be required to report what we have heard elsewhere. There are two ways of reporting what another person has said. We can quote or reproduce the actual words by the speaker. Kamali said, "I am going to school now." Now Mona said, "We shall have done our work." The reproduction of exact word of the speaker is called direct speech. We may also have an account of what another person has said. In other words, when the meaning of a speech is conveyed in the reporter's words, it is called indirect speech. So when we use direct speech in our writing, the exact words spoken must be put inside speech marks. It means inverted commas. The first spoken word must have a capital letter. That you just keep in your mind whenever we are writing in the direct speech. So we always use inverted commas, and the first spoken words must have a capital letter. And when a new speaker begins, we must start a new line. Now here you can see the direct speech. In direct speech, we use the speaker's own word that we have already discussed. Now here you can see in text we put speech marks around the words spoken. Speech marks are also called inverted commas. As you all know, speech marks is already known as inverted commas. It's in a very simple way, we can use 6, and 9 that we have already discussed in the primary classes, that to remember these things, so you just write small 6s and small 9. So that is called speech marks or inverted commas. Now let's learn about what is direct speech. Let's learn more about direct speech. Saying exactly what someone has said is called direct speech. It means whatever the other person is telling or someone is telling something, that we are right exactly whatever the word he or she has been used. Now if I am going to tell you Shakespeare said that, or anything, whatever his dialogue. So if we are writing the exact word, whatever the Shakespeare said, that if we are writing in the inverted commas, that exactly there is no any punctuation, we should move here and there. So whatever the person exactly said or exactly tell, that we are writing in the inverted commas. So that is called direct speech, sometimes called quoted speech. Here what a person says appears within quotation marks, that is speech marks, and should be word for word. Nothing change over there. So whatever the person said, that exactly we used to write in that. For example, I am going to the cinema. He said. It means exactly what he is telling, that it is reported. I am going to the cinema. So, I am going to the cinema, you can see in this example, it is written in the inverted commas. That is called direct speech because it is written in the inverted commas. And who said this? That he comes later or first, that he said. It means he said, I am going to the cinema. So no any changes in that, because whatever he is telling, that the same and same word we are reporting over here inside the inverted commas. That is called direct speech. Now if we are going to see the examples which are given, he said, I am playing. Now here you can see that is written he said. It means he is a speaker over here, and whatever he is telling, that is written in this I am playing. So whatever he is telling, that I am playing, it is written in the inverted commas. That you always keep in your mind, whatever the person exactly telling, that we are supposed to write in the inverted commas. Now, next example, she said, I shall paint. It means whatever she is telling, that is written in the inverted commas. I shall paint. So, again you can see it is written in the inverted comma. Now, next example, he said, I have finished this exercise today. Whatever exactly the person said, that is written in the inverted commas. He said, I have finished this exercise today, and it is quoted inside the inverted comma and full stop over here. And one thing you just always keep in your mind, and it is started with capital letter. So that we have already discussed. Now next example, the inspector said, I am glad to be with you now. The inspector said, whatever the inspector is telling, that is written that in the inverted comma, I am glad to be with you now. Now here you can see direct speech. I have caught 3 fish. The train will leave in 10 minutes. I know this type of angel. I love this, and I am a clever girl. So these are all direct speech because the person is telling about something to someone. So that is called direct speech. Whatever the person is telling, exactly the words it is used. There is no any changes in the reporting. Now let's see the second part of the reporting thing, that is indirect speech. Indirect speech or reported speech reports what a speaker said without using the exact word. So indirect speech, we are going to change something, not exactly word we are using, but some you can see the changes in indirect speech because it was conveyed indirectly. The person is not speaking directly over here, it is conveyed indirectly. When we report what another person has said, we usually do not use the speaker's exact word, yani direct speech, but reported indirect speech. Therefore, you need to learn how to transform direct speech into reported speech. That is the main part of this narration. Now here we are when we convey the thought of the speaker without the actual words, but with its full meaning intact, it is called indirect or reported speech or narration. We do not use inverted commas over here. Now, the verb that introduced the reported speech is called reporting verb. And we should also remember the verbs like said, asked, told, wished, order, requested, and replied are reporting verbs. So, here we are going to use in the indirect speech reporting verb also. Now, indirect speech, in reporting speech, the sense usually changes. This is because when we use reported speech, we are usually talking about a time in the past. So, in indirect speech, we report what was said, and we sometimes need to change pronouns also. We don't use speech marks. Now, the three things we just always keep in mind. Indirect speech, we report what was said. It was in the past tense always. We sometimes need to change pronoun. Yes, of course, we need to change pronouns also. He become him and she become her. That type of the changes we will do. Now, we don't use speech marks. One which is very important thing in indirect speech, we are not supposed to use reported commas or speech marks or inverted commas. So, if I am going to give you a few examples about indirect speech that is written in this picture also, he said, I am playing, that we have already seen in the direct speech, the same example. That if it is written in indirect speech, so how it will be? So he said that he was playing. Now here one thing you can see the changes, that is if you are going to see that we have removed inverted commas from there and we just added over here that. So this is the most important change in indirect speech. He said that he was playing. Now here you can see the changes in the pronoun also. I become he. That he said because of the gender, because of that pronoun, it is used for the gender, for the male gender. That is why the reported speech is changed into the pronoun of male gender and it will become he said that he was playing. Now I become he over here. Let's see next example. She said, I shall paint. Now that this example we have already seen in direct speech. So how we are going to change in indirect speech the same example. She said that she would paint. Now here you can see the changes in shall to would, and that is also used over here once again because we are writing in indirect speech. She said, I shall paint. She said that she would paint. So, please note it down, these changes. We are going to study these type of the changes and rule of changing to direct and indirect speech. He said, I have finished this exercise today. Now here you can see the changes, what we are going to mention. He said that he had finished that exercise that day. Now, the changes you can see, this become that over here. Today become that day. So the changes you just noted down. He said that we have already used in the previous example. Now here again we are using he said that he had finished. That he had have become had over here. So whatever it is in the participle, past participle. So here we present participle, it is written in the direct speech. So here we are going to change in the past participle. He said that he had finished that. This become that. Exercise today, it will become that day. So the major changes you can see in direct to indirect speech. But the meaning of that previous, or you can say the meaning of the direct speech cannot be changed in indirect speech, but the narration of the things will be changed. Now let's see next example. The inspector said, I am glad to be with you now. Now the inspector said, whatever the inspector said, I am glad to be with you now. The inspector said that he was glad to be with me then. So now here you can see the major changes now become then. I am glad to be you now. With you now. You become me, and here you can see I am become he was. But glad to be with, it is not changed, but the major part of the direct speech is changed over here. The inspector said that he was. I am in place of I am, we have written over here he was. Glad to be with. Now you become me and now become then over here. So direct to indirect speech, very major change you can see. So that we are going to learn what are the rules to change direct to indirect speech. So you just observe the changes in direct to indirect speech. Now next, he said he had caught 3 fish. He shouted that the train would leave in 10 minutes. She said she was a clever girl. He said he loved ice cream. She said that she knew that type of angel or angle. What changes did you notice? That we are going to see over here. The first thing that you have noticed in our earlier examples, that is omission of comma to making direct to indirect speech. First thing that we have mentioned or we have noticed of making direct to indirect speech, that is omission of comma. It means we have omitted commas, what we have given in the speech mark in direct speech. And use of that, of course, we have use of making direct to indirect speech, that is that we have used. Change of pronoun, we have noticed, I become he, and change of tense also. Shall become would, and have become had. So that we have noticed in our earlier examples. Change of adverb, place or time. Now become that. That we have noticed in our earlier examples. And so how many things we have noticed in our previous example. First is omission of comma. Whenever we are making direct to indirect in speech, we just omit the inverted commas and use of that. It is very important whenever we are making direct to indirect speech, we are going to use that. Now change of pronoun. Change of pronoun means he become, I become he or I become she. So these are the changes you can find in making direct to indirect speech. Change of tenses. Of course, we are going to change in the tenses also whenever we are making direct to indirect speech. So, third change is change of pronoun and fourth change, that is change of tense. And fifth change, you can find change of adverb, place or time. So these 5 points, you just note it down in your copy. Omission of comma, if you are making direct to indirect speech, omission of comma will be there. Use of that, change of pronoun, change of tense and change of adverb, place or time will be mentioned. So take a screenshot or write in your copy. So if you are going to see, I am feeling ill. Now here, in direct speech, Paul said that he was feeling ill. The third person is reporting about whatever the first person is telling. Now here you can see, direct speech, Paul said, I am feeling ill. So in this example you can see it is mentioned in the inverted commas, that is already given in the direct speech. Now you can see when we are going to make this direct speech, Paul said, I am feeling ill. So how we are going to write in direct speech? Paul said that he was feeling ill. Now first of all, the first thing, whatever the person is there, we are not going to change in indirect speech, and we just add over here that, and I become he because Paul is a male gender. That is why the Paul said that he, I become was, so changes in tense is also there. Feeling ill will be remain same. Now what are the changes we have seen? No speech marks in the indirect speech, that we have already seen. We added that is optional, that is not required all the time. This is optional that we have used over here. Pronoun change, I to he. I become I to he. Now tense change, am became was, am to was. Now here you have seen 4 changes, that inverted comma has been removed and that we have added pronoun change, I become he, and tense change, am become was. So these are the 4 major changes we have seen of making direct to indirect speech. How to change statements, affirmative, assertive statement of direct speech into indirect speech. If we are going to see the rules, there are 3 rules while changing from direct to indirect of a statement like sentences. So there are 3 major rules that we just always keep in our mind So how to change the assertive or affirmative sentences to direct to indirect speech. So what are the 3 rules we are going to see? First rule is change of tense. Change of tense, that is very important rule. That first thing that we have learned, that what we are going to omit. We just omitted inverted commas. We just change in the tenses. So, and that we have used, that was additional. Now, how we are going to change assertive and affirmative sentences direct to indirect speech? That is written over here. That is, first rule is change of tense. So note it down, the first rule of changing direct to indirect speech, that is change of tense. That is very important. So keep in your mind always. If the reporting verb in the direct speech statement is in present tense or future tense, that it remains same in the indirect speech. No change in tense. My friend says he is very handsome. Now here we are going to see in indirect speech, my friend says that he is very handsome. Now in next, my granny will say, you need to eat well. Now again you can see, my granny will say that you need to eat well. So here we have, always keep in mind one thing. If the reporting verb, what is reporting verb? That you just see. If the reporting verb in the direct speech statement is in the present tense or future tense, that it remains same in indirect speech too. No changes in tenses. So if it is reporting verb is given in simple present tense and simple future tense, so it cannot be changed. So first rule we have seen. So we will continue this chapter in our next videos also, because this is a very important chapter that we are going to learn thoroughly. So whatever we have studied today, we have studied about direct and indirect speech, that when we give the exact word that the person has used, it is called direct speech. The spoken words are put within inverted commas. That is called direct speech. And what is indirect speech? When we convey the thought of the speaker without the actual words, but with its full meaning intact, it is called indirect or reported speech or narration. We do not use inverted commas. So what 4 things we have omitted to make direct to indirect speech? That is, first is inverted commas, and that we have added, and change in tenses and change in the pronouns also. So we have already started the first rule. So one, we just always keep in mind that if the reporting verb is written in present and future tense, so that we are not going to change in reported speech. So this much we have learned today. Tomorrow we will learn more about this, more rules we are going to learn tomorrow. So till then, bye bye and take care. Revise this whatever we have learned today.